doing very well. Yeah, that's good to hear.
We had to use the ISS room today, or yesterday for the first time, but it wasn't even really.
I think Linda had a group out to clean up cemeteries and stuff like this. And she said they did great. They're a good group and they really clean, they worked at the school cemetery.
I saw that one too.
Yeah, there's about 50 or 60 bags of leaves. Yeah, so, you know, she did a nice job.
That was on vacation.
Yeah.
I saw that. Should make something there. No, appreciate it.
Reggie, when you speak in that theater zone, I can't hear a word you're saying, I just see your mouth moving.
That's good.
Okay.
It's just the tone.
All right, discussion of issues and more issues. All right, motion to approve minutes of September 24th. Motion by Tom, Whitmarsh.
I'll second.
Seconded by Lynn. Any discussion? Any questions? All in favor? Any opposed? Unanimous? Motion to accept the audit June 30th, 2013 by Pinto and Sinski for Van House. Motion by Rick. Seconded by Joe. Any discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? Unanimous. Accept the following warrants in the file in the business office as reviewed and recommended for payment by the claims auditor. Do I have a motion?
I'll move.
Motion by Terry, second.
I'll second it.
Second by Tom. Brian? Any questions?
I have a question. This one, what you missed? Warrants? Is this the warrants? Yes, it is. Okay, what do we got here? Excellus Blue Cross Blue Shield Dental Insurance.
Mm-hmm.
What's that?
That's done. They, St. Louis Osteoporosis is not covered dental, so we have to go through, Excellus Blue Cross.
SEA, they have the right to have about $25 worth of coverage.
Okay, so this is for everybody in the district that has health insurance.
It's dental in the SEA.
Okay, there's only $325.
It's not too many, it's not a great insurance, not too many people participate.
It doesn't really hurt me.
People choose more to cut in their flats and do better.
What I'm just trying to find out is not just for one person, it's for a
No,
person.
no, it's for,
Thank you.
Sellison, is that affecting us or dropping?
I'm sorry, what?
They're dropping our Excel system, dropping a lot of their insurance in this area. Is that going to be affecting us?
I haven't heard that, it's going to affect me.
Nothing. Any other questions on Mark? If not, all in favor? Any opposed? Unanimous? Accept the claim orders of both 10-13 and 10-16-13 as presented on our file. Do a motion. Motion by Rick. Second. I'll second. Second by Lynn. Any discussion? If not, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Unanimous? To accept the term of Edwards contract, same contract for 2013 plumbing. I'll second. Second by Lynn. Is that too much? No. Good.
We got to separate.
Any questions on this? It's very nice.
Very nice.
This has been the same since I've been on the board. It's been like 5 years.
It's more just, and in general, they have to charge it up.
Very good.
Yes.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Unanimous? To adjust the substitute pay for certified bachelor's degree substitutes, substitute teacher assistant for $80 a day. Any motion?
I'll move.
Motion by Terry, second.
I'll second.
Second by Rick. Question? Vice, you want to explain
Yep.
this?
Basically, basically what's happening is we've had several TAs out on long terms right now, and the people to cover for them end up being teachers because we're so depleted on our substitutes. But somebody with a certified teaching degree doesn't want to take a long-term TA. So we've been filling some of our long-term TAs, like maternity leave, for example, with like 2 or 3 different people constantly changing. Whereas if we could fill it with a certified teacher, obviously we get a better person, but we also get a consistent person. And we would always try to get another TA first, but we would like to have the option because, for example, like I said, with the 3rd person in the position currently this year, with somebody out on a long term, it's not good, it's not consistent. And we need to up it a little because our people would do it for a little bit more money, but if you have a 4-year degree, you get $65 a day. It's just not enough to hold anyone.
Any discussion? Questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? None unanimous? Approve the principal's APR agreement, 2013-14 school year as presented. Do a motion? Motion by Lynn, second. Second by Joe. Any questions?
What should I ask? I have no idea, I have a question.
It's basically the same form that we had last year, a couple of adaptions this year, but it was a form created throughout St. Lawrence County. So, and it's all been checked legally and that type of thing. But it matches all the regulations that we are required to meet.
So it is what it is, eh?
Yes,
It's throughout St. Louis County.
yes. One of the only major differences from one school to the next might be the type of tool they're using to assess their principals. And it's just for the 2 principals.
Maybe tools, tool.
Like a rubric and evaluation tool, like, and there were probably 7 that we could choose from. I had left it up to the 2 principals last year to choose, and then we sat down and kind of talked about it. All of them had some good and some negative. If we could have combined them all into one, we probably would have had something that worked better for everyone. But we took a chance on one of the forms and we're going to try it again this year. And it is an electronic format.
You used it last year.
Yes.
It worked out.
It worked out. It's like any form. It was not a forgiving form, whereas the evaluative tool we used for the teachers was extremely forgiving and very generous, and the principal one was not as forgiving.
What does it mean in the end? Isn't it something you do in-house anyway?
Basically, no, we had to choose one from the state-approved list, and that goes with the whole thing through the race to the top with the federal regulations, so that there's consistency amongst the assessments of principals as well as teachers. And that they are then getting scored by a local objective, by a state number, as do their teachers. So we have to comply with those regulations.
It's apples and oranges. If you're comparing, the one program assesses the teachers, and you said it's more forgiving. And the principals are not so forgiving. And then you're gonna compare them against like Ken, who may pick 1 out of the 7.
Yep.
It doesn't, I don't see how you're ever gonna get a consistent thing across the state when you're all judging by
Right. You're
7 different factors.
The only consistent thing is the actual regulations you have to meet by doing it. But as far as the tools, they are very different from each other, even, from one teacher tool to the next. Because we had looked at 2 or 3 models for our teachers last year, and they were very different from each other. Jill.
Any questions, any more questions on this? If not, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Unanimous? Motion to approve the EK Professionals AVPR agreement. It's on 13, Terry, second? I will. Second by Tom O'Brien. Any discussion?
same type of thing for the teachers.
Any questions?
Joe,
Okay.
any questions on this?
Uh,
You know anything about? Nothing, okay?
Leave me say what
Marzano?
Yes.
do you like?
Not particularly. That's what I wanted to hear. Thank you.
Does anybody
Here's what it is.
does anybody have any input on the other program, Marzano and?
Like Danielson, or there's a NICET rubric, there's other, I mean, I think everyone's pretty much, because it's only our second year, you know, having the same growing pains and trying to, I mean, we were told we had to choose one of these programs to use to evaluate, but there's no other, I mean, all the training, all the additional support comes from us. You know, nobody gave me money for the training, nobody gave it, so, and again, another unfunded
Funded
mandate.
mandate, I was just gonna say that.
And, you know, it's kind of like no different than the modules that everybody's complaining about right now. We have them, we have to use them, and you have to figure out how to do it.
Teachers now are aware of this, what it has.
Oh, yeah,
So-
And they didn't get them early in the summer, so they didn't have time to look over.
but the whole thing back to with the APPR for this year, you know, last year we only scored on 2 of the 4 components. This year we're doing all 4. So again, there's a little change involved, and we're doing one of the components a little differently than we did last year. You know, trying to ease them into it instead of all at once.
Will there ever be a time that they're all done? This whole program will be in operations? And you said they had 2 and they phased in some more. Do you have more next year coming in?
No, this is the last year.
Oh, okay.
Wouldn't it have
So
been
they
easier
said-
if we'd have had more of the teachers like we had up here to give that performance, if they'd have went like to St. Lawrence to those classes? Would it have been easier for the teachers to understand what these things are?
Yeah, but there's no funding for that, Tom.
Um,
That's part of the big problem. Even if we were to have brought Marzano's trainers here, they wanted like $17,000 per school district. So the principals and I put our noses to the grind and started reading and did all the presentations to our staff. It wasn't,
I just thought it was kind of nice that those had enough interest to go for it.
Yeah.
And
it was great. It was,
Some of those organizations seem to be doing well.
yeah.
so then,
There's almost organizations seem to be doing very well.
Yes.
Wish I had lost stock.
Yeah.
Is there anything else for discussion on this? If not, all in favor?
How many teachers, I just want a quick question. How many teachers can attend one of those programs? You said it costs $17,000.
It would be your faculty.
You couldn't bring other faculty in?
No, just your school.
Of course not.
Well, just the training, if I would have gone to the training for the principals, would have been $7,500 for me, and that was just the training, that wasn't the flight, that wasn't, and it wasn't in New York State. So I, again, pulled it all down, read it, trained myself.
Imagine a lot of school districts do that.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Unanimous? To nominate Wayne Rogers or Wayne Summerfield for the position, Area 6 Representative, effective January 1st, 2014. Who do we, who's the small school guy?
The first one, Wayne Rogers, I
Wayne
think.
Rogers, he's from where? Fairfield?
Well,
Malone?
The other one was from Messina.
Seeing the,
Any preference?
I'd rather go with Malone,
Malone,
just for the,
is that okay? Do we have a motion for Wayne Rogers?
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Joe. Second?
I'll second it.
Second by Ellen O'Brien. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Unanimous? Wrestling entered a merger with Kansas School for purpose of wrestling for the 2013-2014 school year at no expense to the district. Have a motion? Motion by Rick? Second by Terry. Any discussion?
Is there any downside to this?
now that we don't have to be responsible for any of the busing or anything, there's no downside. We don't collect the funds, it goes through our booster club. So,
There's really no reason not to.
nope, and the guys that went for football did a great job. Have enjoyed it, and it's some of the same guys that want to wrestle.
They probably
That was just for modified? At the
Yeah,
modified?
it's just modified, there's 5 of them,
Okay.
and they're all at that level.
This is modified wrestling?
Yes.
Is there a chance that they might have an event up here sometime wrestling?
Any chance what?
Like they could run a scrimmage up here so people could see what wrestling's about?
Could talk to them.
You know, if they could run a scrimmage up here,
Mm-hmm.
it would be nice for the crew to be able to go see it.
Right,
I'm sure
That's still-
Mr. Coon would probably enjoy that.
Sean would absolutely love for that to happen,
Yeah.
because he would love to have a wrestling team here.
We don't have our wrestling nights anymore, though.
You know, he really puts a lot of time into that. He is, as well as Rich's wife did. I mean, he's up here all the time.
He's coaching as well.
Yeah. And he aims to run for the next match.
You look hard. You look great in there. Any more discussion on this? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Unanimous. To accept the MOA and the EKCSEA regarding the AMPM BOCES runs for Transportation Department, of motion. Motion carries, second.
I'll second.
Thank you, Lynn.
What exactly is this?
Mr. Arizona, okay about getting that signed for the wrestling. The MOA, basically what we had talked about since last year was the merging of some of our runs together to have an AM and PM BOCES run be separate from kindergarten, so that we have some 6-hour positions. So the union finally signed off to agree that the BOCES run would just be a continual 6-hour day, so your AM 2-hour run plus 1-hour BOCES, AM, PM. And then the other runs, the kindergarten remain separate, but once you sign up for it, you're in a rotational basis. So the kindergarten and then 1 BOCES remained not combined to a 6-hour position. The only one that cost the district money was the one that we farmed out to make it 2 3 hours. So which was the biggest one we wanted to change, so they agreed.
So is this very clear? We're not gonna go back and end up with a discussion again? Just,
Not change the wheel.
I believe it's okay. I think that it's very clear, I think it's specific. However, we're going to be picking up some pieces that have occurred because it took so long to be signed. Because this was on the table since last April.
They voted on it.
They had voted on it in June, had accepted it, and then they reneged. Then they had a special meeting, and then we went all summer saying, what are you gonna do, what are you gonna do? And in September we met, what are you gonna do? And then there was internal fighting amongst themselves, their own union, I guess is probably the best way to put it. Lauren came in and met with them, and then eventually they voted again in October and signed it.
So are they already doing it?
We have changed a little what we were doing, but the AM, PM BOCES was that way, but we did split everything back across. So yes.
Any more discussion on this? All in favor?
Huh?
All right. Any opposed?
No, I don't. Assume, no.
Tom's no?
On the line is no?
Yes.
Okay, the following agenda item is discuss
School position contract proposal. The price and have that. You want to discuss it or?
Not until later.
Later.